Thank you guys for coming back from the break so soon. And more importantly, Harsh, thank you so much for coming and participating today. I had the privilege of meeting Harsh about 7 years ago. And I still remember going to the office and meeting him at the Rang Sharda Hotel where they used to be based. And I was very nervous to speak to a leader of innovation, a leader of entrepreneurship, and someone who's done wonders in terms of growing a business from ground up. And to my surprise, Harsh was one of the most pleasant people I had ever met. While he wasn't an NGO leader, while he wasn't in the sector full-time, he clearly understood some of the challenges that organizations and individuals faced, and was looking at creating initiatives from the ground up. And I think I was very impressed with him for a variety of reasons, which you guys will get to know throughout the conversation. But I think the first thing that really caught me was how Harsh actually started philanthropy much before he left the business. In fact, he still runs a very successful business. And it was in 2003, actually, around the same time that Mariwala really took off, that Harsh decided to focus on philanthropy. And so, Harsh, I mean, the first question I guess I have is, many people think that after they leave business is the right time to look at philanthropy, where you, on the other hand, said, I will do this side by side. And what motivated you to do that, and why did you feel that was the right decision?
I can't answer the question because I think it has to come upon you that you need to do something, and I don't think it is connected to the fact that you're about to retire, or I think when it strikes you that you need to do something, and in this audience, I know there are so many youngsters who do this at a much earlier age. So I think from a business point of view, I don't think it is connected at all to the fact that you're going to retire. That's why you need to do something. I think it's, and I read a very nice, I don't know how many of you read this, but what are the two most important days in your life? I think clearly number one is when you're born. And number two, there may be different options. One can think of when you got married, when you were your first kid, when you graduated. I think these are important, but more importantly, the second most important day is when you realize why you were born. So what is the purpose in life, you know? And I think that's very important. So I think the whole idea of giving something back is very, very dependent on individual, his influences, and when that person realizes that he needs to do something. And I think every person in the world has a purpose in life. It could be anything with life. It could be the best father. It could be giving something back to the society. But when that person realizes that that is his purpose in life, I think that stands much more than making wealth or achieving recognition, because this is something which lasts forever, and it gives you far more deeper satisfaction than just achieving something.
Great. I mean, if you can maybe go a little bit deeper into that particular day in your life, and I'm sure it's a culmination of various experiences, but what sort of gave you, I guess, the confidence to sort of focus in an already busy schedule that you were living and still do live, into something that you were more passionate about?
See, I think it takes some time for you to arrive at a purpose. It just doesn't happen all of a sudden on one fine day. You know, I think you have to go on searching, and that search can take years. What do you want to do? And sometimes you want to try different options. And after trying one or two options, you realize that you're not on the same, this is not something which drives passion within you in terms of giving something back or the purpose. So I think the key thing is to go on trying different things, stay with it for some time, rather than trying to rush to say that on this fine one day I'm going to determine what is the purpose in my life. So in my case, the journey began on two fronts. One is on the business front, where we had decided to give something back from the company. And clearly, I'm of the opinion that it should drive passion within you. If it is your strength and if it drives passion within you, then you're bound to succeed better than rather than something else, because there's a need in the country, or there's a need in the overall outside environment. So in my case, when it came to the business side, I realized that innovation is very, very critical to the success of any business. And in my own personal journey, whenever we had innovated, we had seen a discontinuous growth in our overall performance. So way back in 2003, but before that, 1 or 2 years before that, I had started thinking of innovation and said that if if innovation has helped us so much, can it help others? So considering that, we formed the Marico Innovation Foundation, which looks at innovation from two angles. One is from the corporate angle, another is from a social angle. And since then, we've started that and taken various initiatives to fuel innovation within India. And of late, in the last 3-4 years, on the social side I realized that the need for innovation is much more. And really speaking, I think that is giving a lot of satisfaction to me personally. We have, of late, taken a lot of steps to identify organizations, social organizations, which are doing work, and some of them are present here, to make them scale up, because social organizations do not have the resources to engage a Bain & Company or a McKinsey or a Boston Consulting Group. And they may be innovative at a very small scale, but when you're at a small scale and when you want to really scale up to a much larger level, the skills required to do that are very different than when you do it on a very small scale. So what is the mindset you need to scale up is the key thing, and that's where we come in. And we have a knowledge partner who works with us, and we identify social organizations which are innovative and basically help them scale up. So we engage with them for a period of 2 years or so. But before engaging, we evaluate them in terms of how good are they willing to take risks, because any scale up involves risks. What is the kind of leadership do they have? Can they really have scale up? Are they willing to take some risks to try with some different models? And I think through that, we have been able to achieve scale-ups, and I think I can see Mrs. Kher there. I think we've been working with her, and maybe at some stage you can ask her the kind of numbers we are talking of in terms of vocational training. I think at that, if I remember rightly, we were doing 15,000 unemployed youths and train them in vocational training, and I think now you reached about 100,000, and your target is 500,000 youths in a year. So the impact of innovations in scaling up on the social sector is huge. And we have done that with Akshay Patra, which provides midday meals. Again, numbers multipliers in the range of 10, 20, 50 times. And basically changing in approach in terms of, if you're doing something at a small scale, you need a completely different way if you want to scale it up. So I think that's what we've been doing in the last few years.
No, that's fantastic, and I think the examples you gave are of leading organizations across the country that at times are recognized globally versus locally. For example, Akshay Patra, and I remember using this example a couple of years ago. It was in 2007 that President Clinton took Akshay Patra to Haiti to talk about food security, when unfortunately many people in our own country in India don't even know about the fantastic work they do in feeding 1.5 million children on a daily basis at 5 rupees a day within the school system, ensuring that children not only go to school, but they also are being nutritioned at that time. So no, I think that's excellent. Yesterday, I had the privilege of spending time with your son at an YPO event in the evening, and one of the questions that was asked from the members was, with the new CSR bill, they wanted to own and operate programs. So they wanted to implement their own programs because they felt they would have greater control, greater access, and be able to create greater impact. Traditionally, also in charitable giving, you see many hospitals and schools with people's names on it, where people not just set up the infrastructure, but sometimes even run these institutions. You took a very different approach. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit of why you decided to sort of not own and operate, but instead trust in others.
Yeah, I think to that extent, we have been outliers in both on the social side in terms of business CSR approach to giving, as well as on my personal side. And I was very clear that I had to play a catalytic role rather than putting up a school or a hospital. And when I say catalytic role, I have to act from a software angle rather than a hardware angle. So how do I help, as I mentioned earlier, how do I help social organizations scale up? And on my own personal journey, I'm trying to create an ecosystem of entrepreneurs to, again, help them scale up. I think clearly I was driven by the fact that there is so much of investment which has happened in schools, hospitals. And actually, if we can devote energies in terms of improving whatever they're doing, I think the impact of that will be far, far bigger than just putting up one hospital where you'll benefit some people. But in this case, the numbers goes into millions, And I'll share a little later maybe the overall social impact innovation program which we're doing, scaling up is actually it's going to impact numbers in tens of millions. I think I was very clear that if we play that catalytic role wherein we actually offered knowledge rather than giving some hardware or some services, I think that we will be doing far better justice than just putting up a hospital or a school. And I'm not the kind of person who wants a legacy left in terms of a hardware building after me or my company.
Oh, that's excellent. And I guess when you trust these existing entrepreneurs, how do you ensure that they're moving in the right direction?
So I think whatever we do, I think there is a lot of homework which goes in, whether selecting a social organization to scale up, a lot of homework in terms of what are they doing, how capable are they really driven to scale up? So similarly for entrepreneurs, we invite applications from entrepreneurs who want to scale up. And we also call them for a group interaction wherein we see how passionate are they about scaling up, how ambitious are they. And so there is a rigorous selection process which goes in terms of selection. And then we put them into what we call trust groups where they learn from each other. So on the entrepreneur side, we are trying to create a ecosystem where entrepreneurs can learn from each other because I think, and especially we take 10 entrepreneurs in one trust group and they learn from each other. They don't compete with each other. So because they don't compete with each other, there's a high degree of trust. And we instill that trust. We also train those groups in terms of the way the meetings should operate. So that's how entrepreneurs meet every month for a period of 3 to 4 hours within their own trust groups and talk about their own issues because each entrepreneur faces different issues, whether it is industry relations problem or whether it is growth or whether it is dealing with some other stakeholder. So when they learn that from each other, I think then the numbers can be large. And so today, as on today, we have about 300 entrepreneurs working on this platform. But the target is much bigger, over a period of time. We want to scale up all over India, and this is just the beginning, in fact. So this has just begun about 2 years back, and we want to scale up to 10,000 entrepreneurs because I strongly believe that entrepreneurs add a lot of value to the society. They create jobs. They give something back to the society in terms of taxes. They basically, I think, they give jobs to employees and they create wealth for all the stakeholders.
Well, that's great. And in the last panel, we had a lot of conversations about ecosystems and the need for philanthropists to bring communities together, enabling the communities to learn from each other. And I think you've taken it up the next level, which is how do we bring entrepreneurs together, have them learn from each other, and have them really drive success and growth. Another point that was talked about in the last conversation was the need about creating ecosystems. And I think in addition to what you guys are doing, for example, with the entrepreneurs directly, I was fortunate to participate as a jury member in the Mariwala Innovation Awards. And I think it'd be great if you can maybe talk a little bit about the various stakeholders that come together and why you do an awards program. And how that actually brings different stakeholders together to create an ecosystem on innovation and entrepreneurship.
See, I think ultimately the whole objective is to fuel innovation as far as the Mariwala Innovation Foundation is concerned. So how do you fuel innovation? The first step is to bring in awareness of the benefits of innovation. So we did that through the Innovation Awards, which happens once in 2 years. And this year it's happening on 25th of March. And then more importantly, apart from those who come and attend the program, which is about 1,000 plus audience, and if any of you are interested in attending, please let me know so that I can send you an invite. It's a great learning experience. Those who have come in the Innovation Awards in the past, every time whenever I meet them, when is the next set of awards? So there's a huge draw. It's not a typical award function. Actually, it's like a learning event, where you learn about innovations which are happening on both business as well as social fronts. And this year, we're going to talk about the scaling up experiences and the benefits of that. So I think, first of all, the fact that they come and they learn from each other is great. Secondly, those stories are published in a book or in a magazine. So we tie up with magazines and the individual stories are published. We also take the social winners to our acceleration programs. So that acts as some sort of a conduit to move into the acceleration programs. We have got a book which is written on innovation, and again, the whole objective is to basically bring in awareness about innovations and innovation stories, not only in India, but outside India. So I think when you look at innovation from different angles, both business and social, through awards, through book, through magazines, through acceleration programs, and now we are going to go into social organizations also need money, So we will tie up now with venture capitalists who are interested in impact investing and give them this route to actually invest in these kind of organizations. So basically, by taking in from different routes, you're creating an ecosystem, and I think that ultimately fuels innovation.
No, that's fantastic. And I know Anish spoke about a lot about this as well in the last panel. And I think it's important, again, as philanthropists to realize that not only can you drive this innovation by doing an initiative yourself, but more importantly, I think you should support the organizations, the NGOs that you're funding to also have an ecosystem approach. And it may mean doing something in magazines, books, creating widespread awareness, doing awards programs, but it's about creating mainstream movements around a certain topic, mainstreaming a movement, I guess, or a topic, enabling more people to participate. And I think many times when funders give money to an NGO, they ensure the last thing that they allow the NGO to do is to have these ambitions of scale and growth. Instead, philanthropists look at what are your past track record, how do I ensure you do exactly what you did last year, and make sure that no rupee is spent beyond that. Can you give me a sense of, as you've grown the Mariwala Innovation Foundation and the success that it's had, how much, I guess, flexibility has driven that growth, and how that can be compared to some of the work you do with NGOs and giving them the same flexibility, either through capacity building or funding, so they can experience the same innovation which you've been so successful to harness in your company?
So I didn't understand your question, but just to... Can you repeat a little more?
Sure, I guess it's how do you enable organizations that you support, NGOs or businesses, to harness the same innovation that you've been able to harness without necessarily a restricted budget, set impact assessment norms from day one, and giving them flexibility to deliver and innovate simultaneously?
I don't know. I don't think we are impacting the other organizations to that extent. I think our job is merely to help them scale up at one level. But separately, we have said that whenever newspaper, I have always said that, it's okay if you don't give credit to Mariwala Innovation Foundation, but you need to carry stories. These are fantastic stories. You're always short of material, either a newspaper or news channel, and please publish these stories. I don't want any credit to Mariwala Innovation Foundation, and that's what we've been saying. I think our job is to do something rather than getting credit. So that's why I think many of the social organizations we are scaling up, many of them, they have some faint idea about Mariwala Innovation Foundation. Beyond that, we don't play a very active role in terms of ensuring that we get the credit in doing that, So clearly there is a need to get much more awareness for these things, but sadly I hope there are no newspapers here. They just, whenever you've given them some story, all they say is, okay, how much money are you willing to pay? And we said, we cannot pay you anything, but if you want to write, please write, and don't even refer to us.
Oh, that's excellent. With that, I think we're going to open it up to the audience. I think there are mics floating around. If you have a question, if you could just raise your hand, and somebody will come to you with the microphone. Wow, no questions. Okay. Yes.
I'm Dhanashri. I'm with the United Nations Population Fund. And all of the last 2 days, we've been talking about return on investment. And there has been a certain kind of energy, but at the same time, a bit of a dilemma and a little bit of anxiety as well as to how important is this return and how is that return really defined, because the definition of what is strategic then will keep changing. There is a strategic which is more structural in nature, and then there is a strategic which means I do get the return and therefore it's strategic. So so it's a mix of anxiety and dilemma, and I would want to know if you feel the same. What are your views on it, and how do you define strategic for yourself, I would say?
No, I think strategic is the cause you're backing. As long as the cause you're backing, there's a larger cause, and within that cause, you have multiple routes. As I mentioned earlier, we have two. One is what we call corporate social responsibility, which is the Mariwala Innovation Foundation. Another is what I call personal social responsibility, which is helping entrepreneurs. So these are two different tracks at least we have undertaken. One which is funded by me, which is personal social responsibility. The corporate social responsibility is funded by the company. Now, I think cause is very important. You know, what is the purpose for the organization? What is the purpose for the individual? And I, for one, would not measure the return on investment, because otherwise, you know, you're treating it like a business, you know. I think as long as you get satisfaction and the fact that you're impacting lives, I think that should be enough. But yes, if you're not able to do that, then you have to question whether are you taking the right initiatives. And for example, when we started innovations, you know, we had awards, we had a book on innovation, we came out with a magazine on innovation, but that was not giving me as much satisfaction. And I think ultimately we landed into what we call the acceleration programs. And the satisfaction, at least we are getting out of the acceleration program, is far more than just bringing in awareness about innovation through awards or through the book or any other initiative which is creating awareness. Now, this is actually impacting. And we are not measuring the benefits, but clearly the benefits are there. Because too much of, I think we have, at least as businessmen, we are spending a lot of effort in measuring ROIs. So at least in giving, you should not have and you overall look at the fact that you are able to impact. But beyond that, I would not go into measuring ROIs and things like that.
Great. I've just got a question from somebody in the audience, and I'd love to ask you, I guess, or somebody in the audience wants to ask you, what was your biggest surprise when you started the Mariwala Innovation Foundation?
Surprise. I think this whole thing scaling up has been a big surprise to me, you know, and the impact we've been able to create, and I'm very, very happy with this. And actually, we started with 2. And today we are doing 8 more, and the whole objective is to take it to further more. And just to give you an idea in terms of what has been the impact of that, or likely impact of this, I'll just refer to some data. We are helping an organization, IRAM, which is in sanitation and waste management. And they have these portable toilets. They were doing 400 toilets in one state. The target is, in 2015, 20,000 toilets. EnviroFit, which is indoor air pollution stoves. They were selling pollution-free stoves, 120,000 stoves. Now they're going to sell 1 million stoves. And 5 million people impacted because of the pollution caused by the stoves. Agla Kadam, which is in livelihoods, they were training only 5,400 youth. They will do 1,25,000 youths. And I talked earlier about Yuva Parivartan. And Akshay Patra also, the multiplier has been almost 10 times the meals they were serving earlier. So this impact which we have been able to create, and we don't spend that much. I mean, we have an innovation partner just to go back to your question on ROI, we have been spending about 20 lakhs rupees per organization in helping them scale up over a period of 1.5, 2 years. But the impact of that in terms of ROI is huge. But we really didn't measure all that when we started off. You start off with hope that something will work out, and then yes, it has worked out. So it's paid back greatly.
No,
I think that has been the biggest positive surprise, I would say.
No, I think that's fantastic, and I think it's interesting because I think over the last 2 days, many people have hinted towards the need of capacity building and upskilling the human capital in the NGO sector. Yet most philanthropists, again, decide that that's the last thing that they want to fund. They ensure that every rupee goes to the last child, the beneficiary, woman, farmer, etc. Yet management cost is something that's a no-no. In fact, again, yesterday at the same YPO event, somebody said, what is the admin cost that I should be happy about? And it seems to a certain extent, the 10 to 20 lakhs that you guys are providing in terms of support and managerial support could be classified as all admin cost. Yes. But then the returns you're talking about are 10, 50, 100x even at times. Yeah. And really making smart investments versus focusing on 100% admin cost. You're actually leveraging these organizations to grow themselves and scale.
I think the key thing, Deval, is to actually go on trying different things. You know, sometimes certain things may not work out. You drop them, try something else, because there is no. If you are creating, first of all, first timer these days. So many times we have taken something, not happy, do something else. So go on trying until you hit the right kind of a thing which actually works.
And when you go on trying, I'm assuming you have a team that helps you with this. If you can
Yes.
talk a little bit about that and that structure and how you've evolved to bring different stakeholders and management individuals, I guess, to help you with the execution.
It's not a very large team. In both cases, the team is just, in case of Innovation Foundation, we have a 3-member team. In case of Accent, which is again a 3-member team. But we do a lot of outsourcing. You know, in case of Innovation Foundation, we outsource the Innovation Alchemy, which is our partner. So we do a lot of outsourcing with individuals or companies or associations or organizations which we think are good at that. So have a lean team, but do a lot of outsourcing and, you know, have partners who can help you in that journey. In case of Ascent also, we have a lot of outsourcing partners who help in terms of facilitative training and things like that. So these are on the basis of a project done, and, you know, so it's more variable cost rather than a fixed cost.
Can you talk a little bit more about Accent, the program itself? Because I don't think most people know about this initiative.
Yeah, this started about 3 years back in Bombay. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 300 entrepreneurs. So we realized that, and before I started Accent, I toyed around with other women entrepreneurs in Bombay and then startups. And I realized that if I deal with startups, each startup requires a different kind of way of handling that startup. And it can only be done on a one-on-one level. So in my own journey, I realized that when you start a business at a small level, to a medium level, to a large level, the skills required to manage that business are completely different. And I also realized that many entrepreneurs were not able to scale up because they were just not either able to delegate, or they were not able to recruit good quality talent, or they just didn't trust others, or there were problems with other partners in terms of promoters or family members. And the business had a lot of potential, but because of all these reasons, they were not able to scale up. So after trying multiple things with women entrepreneurs and startups, I chanced upon this, you know. And then it was prototype first in Bombay, and basically the whole model consists of selection of entrepreneurs who have passion to scale up. So we have entrepreneurs who are at a level of 2-3 crores per year. We also have today entrepreneurs who are at 1,000 crore plus in the Ascent program. And what we do is, after selecting entrepreneurs, we divide them into 3 different groups. So 2.5 crores to 25 crores, 25 to 50, and 50 and above. And then, depending on the business they are in, we put them into groups of 10. And then they meet we have some basic structure in terms of how the meeting should be handled. We also provide them facilitative training. So that person from our side trains the group. There's a certain structure to the meetings in terms of when you attend the meeting, the first thing is check-ins. So what happened in my business last month? What are the positives? What are the negatives? And that will throw up a lot of ideas of discussion, which, suppose if I'm facing a likely strike in my factory, then I will say there is a strike. Then 10 other entrepreneurs will talk about how to deal. If I was him, how would I dealt with him? So basically, online advice to entrepreneurs through creation of trust group is the basic of Ascent. And then to create an ecosystem, we also have webinars every month where we select a topic and we talk about that, and everybody can log in, whoever is interested. We have a mixer event, which is once in 3 months, where we call in leading entrepreneurs and talk about their own journey to groups in physical. Then we are going to have common interest groups, like family managed companies have similar issues. So a common interest group of all the family managed companies will meet together. Similarly, IT industry also would have similar kind of issues. So they will meet separately and they'll discuss their issues about family managed or IT industry. We're also thinking of having some factory visit to other areas. So basically, to create an ecosystem wherein we'll also expose them to leading consultants, leading venture capitalists. So an entrepreneur who joins Ascent learns from other entrepreneurs. He gets exposed to other key stakeholders like consultants or venture capitalists. He gets to meet larger entrepreneurs, gets to attend mixer events, webinars. We also have knowledge gurus. So if some of the groups want somebody to talk to them about a certain subject, or say marketing or supply chain management, then they can call that knowledge guru to their group and talk about that particular subject. So basically, to help entrepreneurs scale up, and if the entrepreneurs scale up, then to that extent, they'll be able to add value to the society and create wealth for the society.
You make it sound so logical and simple, yet I'm sure it's a large task. I mean, what were some of the biggest challenges that that you guys have faced in doing this and bringing all of these groups together?
I think the biggest challenge we're facing in Ascent, which is helping entrepreneurs scale up, is to get good quality entrepreneurs. We are struggling. I am very keen to expand the numbers, but we just don't seem to be getting the numbers. We are at 300, and of late, a lot of entrepreneurs have started joining in based on word of mouth. So word of mouth is acting as so the existing entrepreneurs who are a part of this, they recommend somebody else. And we want to start in Delhi for last 1 year. We are struggling to get numbers, So I think everything is free for them. There is no cost to it, So all the facility training, whatever happens, mixer events is actually, they don't have to bear. All I am expecting them is to actually be committed and spend at least 4 hours every month in their trust groups. That's the only expectation. But there's a big struggle, so that's a struggle which we are facing. Hopefully, over a period of time, the word of mouth will accelerate and we'll be able to overcome this.
Great. Well, I know there are a few people here from Delhi, so hopefully afterwards you can speak and see how you guys can use your networks to build this. I'm going to open it back up for questions. I think there were a few hands up before.
I'm Rajiv Khanna from International Development Exchange, and we're based in San Francisco, and we support grassroots organizations worldwide. Thank you so much for sharing your work. So one of the key lessons that we've learned over the last 30 years working in about 33 countries, including India, is that there's an incredible amount of innovation going on the ground at the grassroots level as well. And that community-led organizations are every bit as entrepreneurial and innovative as corporations or social entrepreneurs. And they devise solutions relating to women's rights, food justice, and other issues that impact their lives every day. We've seen a lot of local wisdom and strengths and skills. So my question to you is, how does community-led innovation figure in your work in addition to corporate and social innovation?
So I think we club whatever you're talking about is within the social side, So whatever is community-led innovations, we have rewarded many of them. In fact, some of them are getting this year's award. I'm not allowed to share the names at this stage, but clearly there are many community-led innovations which get rewarded, and if they are open to tying up with us in terms of scaling up, we would do that. So clearly, it is a part of the social innovation. We have not created a separate category for community-led innovations. So I would say that this is a part of social innovations, and this gets included in our innovation journey.
Great.
Hi, I'm Amita. I wanted to know, you said when you're selecting organizations that you look at the leaders.
Yeah.
Typically, what are the good qualities you look for in leaders?
I think first of all, there has to be strong desire to scale up, because the leader doesn't have scaling up ambition, then nothing will succeed, because he has to be the prime mover in scaling up. So first of all, does it have a burning desire to scale up? I think that's the first important thing. Number two, does he have all the authority to take decisions? Because many times we've seen that there are certain organizations we have started working, we were funded by somebody from outside India, and all these have complete failures, because every time the leader was ambitious, but somebody sitting somewhere outside India was taking all the calls, and invariably it will just not take off. So we have decided now that we will only fund organizations, or we'll help organizations scale up, which have local leadership, because 2-3 negative experiences as far as international linkage were concerned. And there are enough opportunities for us to work with organizations based in India. The third is risk-taking. To what extent are they willing to take risks? Because in any journey like this, there will be certain setbacks. There will be failures, because we'll work, normally what happens is after selection, we gather the whole team, and maybe I think I'll ask Mrinalini to speak a little bit more, because I think they have done that, and after I speak, if you can talk a little bit more about it. So basically then our innovation partner will work with the whole team and say that what is our ambition, where are we today, where do we want to go, and to achieve that, what are the different experiments we need to take. So there will be about 4, 5, 7 different experiments. In this case, in case of Yuva Parivartan, they were doing vocational training, if I know it rightly, they were doing it in some fixed locations. And the whole mindset changed when they said, can you have mobile camps rather than fixed locations? And can you have infrastructure to move around all over? So you need to take you have to take risks. And some experiments will not succeed. But some of them will succeed and they can really be scaled up because nobody can predict unless you actually do the experiments whether it will succeed or not. So I would say these 3-4 things and then finally learning, are they willing to learn? Maybe Pranani, would you like to talk a little more?
Thank you. Thank you, Harsh, for mentioning us. Yeah, it's been hard work and taking risks, having dreams and a passion to grow and innovate to scale up is the main things that are the main ingredients that require to scale up. We started with this mobile camps because we found that the investment in brick and mortar was too high. And we wanted for a country like India, where you have to reach out to 350 million dropouts or underschooled youth, you need large funds, and India cannot afford that. We didn't want to, so we wanted to design a low-cost model that will scale up and reach out to provide vocational skills and skill development plus placement in jobs to a large number. And the only thanks to the Innovation Foundation, Marico, because that helped us to experiment, pilot, and we draw up a successful model where today we are running about 2,000 camps per year. And this year, I think we should go to about 5,000 camps per year. That's the only way India can really, the scale in India has to be large numbers. And as in the earlier dialogue also somebody said, this country is about numbers. You have to think very big. Only can then innovation and actual impact can be felt. Thanks.
Thank you. And I think now you recruited a CEO also to handle this because beyond a point, if you do it on a small scale, then you need to hire people. So all these issues about risk-taking, put in some fixed investments, experimenting is very, very crucial. Starting the fact that passion, ownership, desire to scale, and then experimenting, and then finally scaling up and taking some hard decisions in terms of recruitment of talent and things like that.
Yeah, it's really good to hear that you are supporting the innovations. I have one very specific question. As you said that you support the organization for 1 or 2 years to scale the innovations. So what's your experience? Is the 1 or 2 years enough to scale any innovation? Because our experience says that it takes a long-term thinking and also to bring a range of the stakeholders together. So it takes time. So we would be happy to hear your experience on this.
If you are not able to impact within 2 years, I think then you're either selected a wrong partner or you're not doing it well. You have to be able to do it within 2 years. There is no reason why you can't do it within 2 years if you have the right partner, which is willing to. So basically, once you have that workshop, then straight away the experiment starts. So you have to move a lot with speed. You don't have the leisure of working for 3, 4, 5 years, And having done that over 2 years, if you say that, okay, I'm at 1 million youth, I want to do it to 10 million, then we may extend that again. But within 2 years, you have to see a big traction in terms of what you're doing, because you're already doing that at a smaller scale. All you are saying now is, I want to do it on a larger scale. So the business, whatever you're doing is, you're doing it, but can you do it on a larger scale? So clearly, I'm saying that there has to be impact within 2 years. Otherwise, there is something wrong either in terms of selection of the partner or the way you are handling innovation.
Great. We have a question on this side.
Hi, Harsh. I've heard you mention this before, Harsh, also about a big struggle being or challenge being finding the right kind of entrepreneurs to reach that 10,000 figure or more. Yeah. What really do you identify or see as the biggest problem? Are your, the conditions you all have for due diligence or the prerequisites, is that very stringent? Have you all ever thought about changing that over time? Or, what really is, because the kind of area that y'all are addressing, there seems to be like there'd be hundreds of people queuing up for the kind of support that you're offering. Yeah. So where really is the problem there?
See, I don't think it is connected to the fact that we have a very stringent, yes, we have stringent, but on average, out of 100 applications we get, about 50 get selected. And those who are selected, we have a very wide range of, we have about 50% manufacturing, 50% services. We have 15% of women entrepreneurs who are a part of this journey. And we have a wide range, starting from 2.5 crores to 1,000 crores. And totally, if you add all the 300 entrepreneurs whom we are working with, I think the turnover is in the range of about 15,000 crores today. But clearly, the awareness for this is not there. So it is taking time in terms of building awareness. Consciously, we're not advertised. There have been some articles in magazines which have helped us create that image. But I think the other thing which goes against us is that commitment of time, because most entrepreneurs, I don't know why. I mean, they are so busy that they just cannot spare 4 hours a month. And I think that's something wrong there, in my opinion. You know, if you can't spare 4 hours, then that means there is something wrong with your leadership style, you know. Because lack of time for any entrepreneur is an effect, in my opinion. You know. That means something wrong you're doing, you know. And any entrepreneur should have enough time to pursue newer things and to ensure that at least 25% of his time he doesn't have any work, you know, so that you are actually studying new things, pursuing things, and that. So lack of time is either because you have the wrong organizational structure, or you don't delegate well, or you have the wrong people, or you don't trust people. So going back to your question, I would say that lack of awareness and lack of commitment because of time are the two reasons why it has not yet taken off as I thought it would. But I think we are not going to give up. We will continue doing this.
Great. We have time for one more question. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much again for sharing your story with us and inspiring
Let me
others.
end by
to
just
innovate.
one other thing which I talked, and it's not my personal quote, but somebody else's. The purpose of life is a life of purpose, you know. So I think it really appealed to me, you know. Thank you.